Self-sabotage. We all self-sabotage in some way. Some of us spend money that we don't have to spend. Some of us procrastinate doing work by surfing the web. Some of us eat more than we know we need and then regret it later. It's just our nature to sabotage ourselves. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, what is self-sabotage and how do you fix it? It's a complicated thing, and there are a lot of theories out there about self-sabotage. But when I think it comes to self-sabotaging weight loss in terms of emotional eating, stress eating, mindless eating, overeating, there are a few theories that overlap one another when it comes to self-sabotage. So one is, in some cases, we all bring feelings from our childhood into our present. And in a lot of cases, they're really unconscious feelings. We're not even aware that those feelings are there. And in some cases with self-sabotage in terms of eating, that can come from an attachment to deprivation, and it could come from an attachment to rejection, because subconsciously those are very familiar feelings for us. And breaking out of that can be unfamiliar and scary. And so we can bring these feelings from growing up that surround our relationships with our parents, for instance, siblings, into our present life without even being aware of it. So that's one issue with self-sabotage that we sometimes see in life coaching. Most often, it is what I like to call emotional hijacking. So we all have this primitive part of our brain. You may have heard of lizard brain. It's another term used for it. It's that part of your brain that when you're walking down the road, you jump out of the way because you think it's a snake in the road, but it's actually just a stick. That very primitive part of our brain is that fight or flight part of our brain. Now, that primitive part of our brain is not always correct. It was just a stick. It wasn't a snake. But in that split second, that real lizard part of the brain takes over. And it does it to protect us, which is a good thing. And so that kind of also overlaps with part psychology. We're all made of different parts. We have that part that wants to be healthy and make good choices. And we have that part that wants to eat all the pizza and drink all the beer. And the problem is that those two parts are not talking to one another. So how do we fix that? Well, that's why we're here for the next 4 weeks. We're going to drive down into those feelings at the root of those different parts to get them talking to one another. We're going to help bring those unconscious thoughts in that lizard part of our brain to our conscious minds. Because when we do that, we then have some flexibility to make other choices. So you see how those two things kind of overlap with one another. And then a third thing that comes into play with self-sabotage in terms of eating are limiting beliefs. We just don't think we can. We don't think we're worthy. That's a big one. And all of these things kind of overlap with one another. So we're going to spend time next week really working on that lizard brain and bringing those unconscious thoughts to our conscious minds. And then in week 3, we're going to work on getting to the root of those different parts of us so that we can get them communicating with one another. So can you relate to this? You wake up in the morning and you decide, it's going to be a great day. I'm going to eat healthy foods all day. I'm going to feel amazing. And by the end of the night, it's not just that you're wanting junk food. You've actually convinced yourself that it's a good idea, that it's okay eat the donut at work in the break room, that it's okay to eat the gallon of ice cream. So it's not that you're doing it and feeling bad while you're doing it, because you've actually convinced yourself that it's a good idea. And so that's just that primitive part of the brain. It's not always right. And it's just that other part of us that wants something different than what our conscious mind wants. And it's just not always healthy. That part of our brain, like I said, it's not bad. It has good intentions. It's there to protect us from something. And sometimes it's there to protect us from a feeling that we don't want to deal with. And so that's what we're going to be working really hard on these next few weeks. So I'm super excited. I hope it's going to be a powerful journey. If you've got any questions about self-sabotage, before we get started, please make sure you post those in the comments below. And I hope you found this interesting. It's a really fascinating topic, and I look forward to talking to you more about it. But first, we're going to start with a very basic level, and that is working to establish a conscious connection between our minds and our bodies so that we can use our bodies as a partner in weight loss, instead of viewing our bodies as the enemy. So that's where we're going to get started in week 1. So it's going to be a fun week, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye, guys.